We finally had a baby after years of pressure. Then my in-laws turned it into a huge scene. My husband and I never wanted kids. We were happy with our life and our freedom. But for 5 straight years, our moms wouldn't drop it. My mom would say we were ignoring God's plan on every call. My mother-in-law was worse. She sent fertility articles, baby clothes, and guilt messages that sounded polite. The only blessing was that the two moms hated each other, so they never teamed up. Then I turned 30 and got pregnant. It wasn't planned. I stared at the test like it was a prank. When I told my husband, he went pale, then sat down hard. We talked for hours at the kitchen table. Scared 1 minute, calm the next. In the end, we decided to keep the baby. After that, we started to get excited. We made a short name list, argued over paint colors, and bought one tiny pair of socks. So I thought our moms would finally be happy. Nope. The moment we told them, it was like we stopped existing. My mom replied with one word, if she replied at all. My mother-in-law stopped calling completely. I sent an ultrasound photo and got a thumbs up from my mom. My husband called his mom and got voicemail. At one point, I asked my mom if she wanted to come to an appointment, and she said she was busy. It was strange, but I kept telling myself they'd show up when it mattered. Labor started on a Tuesday night. Contractions hit fast, and my husband was rushing around grabbing the bag and the car keys. We texted both moms that we were going to the hospital. My mom wrote, "Okay, that was it." She never came. My mother-in-law wandered in that evening like she was stopping by a store. No rush. No, "How are you?" No, "Congratulations." She asked where the cafeteria was and if the parking garage was still open, like that was the urgent stuff. Then she stared at my husband and said, "So, when do I get to see him?" While I was still shaking in the bed. My sister was the one who showed up for real. She ran in early the next morning and stayed through the whole labor. She held my hand when I started shaking. She fed me ice chips. When I cried, she kept talking right in my ear, calm and steady. At one point, she told my husband, "Go breathe for a minute, I'll sit with her," and she didn't leave my side. After the baby was born, I was exhausted, but relieved. The next day, my sister and I walked to the nursery window to look at him again. Newborns were wiggling and crying behind the glass. Mine was right there with his little name card, but he had both hands over his face, like he was hiding. One hand covered his eye, the other covered his mouth. All you could see was his tiny nose. My sister leaned close and laughed. She said, loud enough for people nearby to hear, "Aw, he already knows he looks like his ugly daddy, so he's shy." Then she added, "Don't worry, kid. Doctors can fix anything these days." A couple people nearby snorted, and I had to cover my mouth so I wouldn't start laughing too loud. It sounds mean, but it wasn't. My husband and my sister have this dumb running joke where they greet each other with, "Hey, ugly," back and forth. Right then, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law came down the hallway together, talking like they owned it. They stopped in the doorway and blocked everyone. A nurse pushing a cart had to wait, and a man said, "Excuse me." Nothing. He squeezed past, and my sister-in-law snapped, "Wow, so rude." My sister and I made eye contact. Something was coming. They walked up to the window and still didn't ask how I was feeling. My sister-in-law scanned the row of babies and said, "So which one is yours?" Even though the name cards were right there. I pointed at my baby. He still had his hands up. My sister-in-law stared for 2 seconds, then said to my mother-in-law, clear as day, "You were right. He doesn't look anything like your son." My mother-in-law nodded slowly, like she'd just won an argument, and said, "I knew he wouldn't." My husband had stepped out to sign a form, so it was just me and my sister hearing it. For a moment, I couldn't even move. Then it hit me. My sister's eyes went wide, like, are they serious? These two do this to everyone. Every baby is suspicious to them. Now they were doing it to me, to their own grandson, in a hospital hallway. My sister and I burst out laughing right there. I laughed so hard I had to grab the rail under the window, and my mother-in-law's face tightened like she'd been slapped. In my head, I heard my silly little bet from months ago, that after 5 years of begging, they'd finally be happy, and I knew I'd lost too. Now my sister-in-law is saying I laughed too hard. Was I wrong?